a simple Photoshop tutorial to help you remix some simple images or photographs. I started with a new document. This is 10 inches wide by 8 inches tall. I just picked it because I wanted that. You could have it be any size you want. It could be, something that's for Twitter or for Instagram or for Facebook, or something that's going to go on your computer screen. Doesn't really matter. And then you need your picture that you want to use. I found this picture on unsplash.com. I'm a big fan of that site, as everything on there is free. So if you're looking to practice this method or to try this out, you can use any picture from Unsplash that you would like. I'm going to go like this. I think that'll be fine. Alright, so there we go. Because I want the focal point to obviously be this cool truck that's in the picture. I'm just going to rename this layer and call it photo for future reference. And the next thing I will do is create a shape. I'm going to make a rectangle. Technically, you could do this with any shape that you want. So here comes a rectangle. And with this, I'm going to change the corners to where they're all 0. And I'm going to adjust the size of this just a little bit here to where it looks like that. The color doesn't matter because we're actually not going to be looking at the colors later. Alright, you can Control T it and add a little variation to the angles if you would like. Then we can duplicate the layer and that way it's the same size, and change the angle again. When we do this, we just don't want, at this point in time, if you're using rectangles, I think it'll work better if you don't have the boards overlapping quite yet. It's kind of up to you. Alright, so I'm going to do this all the way across. Alright, now that I have that done, I'm going to add just a couple more boards here. These ones are going to be more kind of at an angle. So I'm going to do this while kind of in the places where they are covering the actual truck. Places where there's color there. Yeah, I think that will look pretty good. Alright, now the next part is pretty simple still. I'm going to scroll down and control click in the thumbnail of the first rectangle that I have, and it's going to select it around the outside, you'll see there. And then if I select my photo, while that's still selected but I just highlight my photo layer, I can go Control C and Control V. It's going to make a new layer. And if I delete this first rectangle here, it looks like nothing's there, but if I make the photo layer invisible, I have a rectangle right there. Right, those are all done. I'm going to keep this photograph image here, but I'm going to, or this photo layer here, but I'm going to make it invisible just in case I need it later or want to make some changes at another time. Alright, then starting back down here on the bottom layers, I'll go into my layer style and select Bevel and Emboss. And if I have Inner Bevel and Chisel Hard selected, and I have the depth of 250 and the size of 1, I should be good for that. I do have an angle at 129 and an altitude of 21 just to kind of make that visible. And so as I toggle this, you can see this layer here is where it's at. And if I add a little drop shadow to it, and you can play around with these measurements if you know to your liking, but here I'm just going normal opacity. This angle here is fine at 129, and then the distance, I'm not going to go above 1. Spread is going to be 0 and size is going to be 2, just to have that shadow underneath it. Okay, it's hard to see because that board is underneath those others, but I'll show you this. So if I right click and I copy the layer style, click on the next layer, and then shift click the top layer, then I can paste the layer style and applies it to all of them. Now you can start to see what's going on here. It's like all these boards are spread out, but they have parts of a picture on them, and it fits together. These bottom 3 layers that I have, these are the ones that were sideways. I am going to move those layers up to the top here, and now you can kind of see those shadows of those ones a little bit easier, works a little bit better. The next thing I would like to do is, just to make these stand out a little bit more, is on this top layer I'll Control L to go to my levels, and if I change these output levels and make it a little lighter, it's going to help it stand out from the boards behind it a little. So I'm going to do that with all 3 of these, and it doesn't have to be the same. I actually think it works better if there's a little bit of some inconsistency with the lighting on those. Just makes them more unique and a little better to look at. Alright, and then with these underneath here, I can go Control L, and I can go the opposite. Instead of lightening the boards, I can make these ones a little darker. Alright, those look pretty good. Then the last thing with these lower layers, Control Shift U is the shortcut to desaturate. So I'm going to do that with just the lower boards. Control Shift U, and you'll see how layer 7 there, it desaturated. It makes it black and white. And once we have those all done, then we can move these boards wherever. If you want to center it a little bit, if you need to resize any of it, you can. And looks pretty good. The last thing that I would suggest doing, and I do this with a lot of my images where I have things that are kind of laid out, make sure you have black and white for your colors selected here in your color selection. If we go to our background and go with the gradient overlay, normal, and for the gradient, if you go to basics, you'll find the black to transparent. That's the one I have here already selected. And if it's radial and you want it reversed so that it's lighter in the middle, in the scale 150. And then the opacity, it's kind of up to you how you want this to look, but I like it to be real subtle personally. Some people like more of a dramatic shadow effect, but I wouldn't go over 15 though. And if you need to reset the alignment, you can if you've changed yours recently, and then it'll make sure that light is in the middle, or the lighter area is in the middle on that canvas. You can click OK, and there we have it. You know, just something different to kind of make a regular photograph and add some interesting elements to it and make a fun little Photoshop remix. I hope you found this tutorial useful and gave you something to try and to play around with. Sound off in the comments below if you'd like, and I appreciate you watching.